Okay, can we call the meeting to order? I've got exactly 10 o'clock. All right, first item on the agenda is minutes of the last meeting, or approval of the agenda, I guess. Any questions on the agenda, or can we go ahead and approve it? Okay, need a motion. Okay. And do we need a vote, I guess? All those in favor? Carried. Okay. Declaration of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof.
There is a neighbor that attaches my land that is in here, but we are not cousins. There's no financial gain. There is nothing in there because I looked at the ICI, so there's nothing that asks me to declare. And I don't think they would want me to declare anyway, because we're all good neighbors and we all get along. But there's no cousin, no relative, no financial gain, no nothing. So it doesn't qualify other than just attached. Some people would do it just for the point of basically there could be a gray area, but I live in the gray area all the time. So I have no problem with that. Thank you.
Okay, that's good. Glad you mentioned that and everything above board. Okay. Approval of the minutes of the last meeting. Any comments on the minutes? No. Need a motion to approve? Those in favor? Carried. Okay. Statement of purpose of the public hearing. 5.1 is Christine Baldwin. And Christine, is she attending virtually or no? Okay. Do we need to go through the purpose of? Okay.
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. Thank you. So first, I'd like to confirm that notice was provided in accordance with the Planning Act. First class mail notice was provided to all landowners within 60 meters of the subject lands, and a sign was posted on the property. The purpose of the minor variance application A05-2021, Christine Baldwin 15630 County Road 2, is to seek relief from section 7.6, table 10 of the bylaw to permit an interior side yard of 4.5 meters, 15 feet, whereas an interior side yard setback of 9 meters, 30 feet is required. And this is to construct in addition to the existing home.
Okay. So everybody's clear on what the application is. Do we need a further review of the planning report? Everybody's read it.
Yes, I'll just confirm that planning staff have reviewed the application and can confirm that it complies with planning staff's opinion that the application is consistent with section 45 subsection 1 of the Planning Act. The application conforms to meets the intent of the official plan, meets the intent of the zoning bylaw, is desirable and appropriate, and is minor in nature.
Okay. So there's no applicant or agent, so I guess nobody's speaking in favor. And nobody else here. Is there anybody virtually to speak? No. Any correspondence?
No correspondence.
No correspondence.
Just information from the applicant. That's all.
Okay. All right. We're open for discussion.
Mr. Chair, I don't know the applicants personally, but just as acquaintances, but I know where they live. And this is something that they would require and need to give them a better quality of life and a better home and make it more substantial on their property. Not saying that it's substandard now, but it would give them more room and space to live.
It is very, very small. How many people live in that house at present?
There's usually the mother-in-law or the mother and 3 other adults that live in there.
Yeah.
And plus a llama that's in the backyard. So it gets loose once in a while, but he's a great guy.
Yeah.
So that's about it. I think it would be a great addition to the property.
Okay.
Just one question, Josh, the neighbor's property, how close is that to the existing property?
So it's, if you look at the site plan, they're proposing to be 15 feet from the neighbor's property line. But if you look at the side yard to the neighbors, they're actually set back quite a bit. I mean, I would say they're probably at least another 15, 20 feet from that as well.
Yeah.
So you're looking at 30
Separation,
feet,
30.
which would be meeting the intent of the zoning bylaw to begin with. If you look at the property, that's really the only logical area to span. Can't go north because of the septic bed in the wetland, or not wetland, sorry, woodlot. And you can't go east because of the driveway. So west makes sense.
Thank you.
Yeah, it certainly looks like the least expensive way to proceed with enlarging the house.
Yeah.
Okay, any other further comments? Okay, I think we're ready for a decision. Looking for a motion. Okay, those in favor? Motion carried. Okay. Okay. Move on to the next application. And that is 2020910 Ontario Limited. Do we have a representative from them? We do not. Okay. All right. Josh, do you want to?
Sure, I'll just provide a brief overview of the application. So just to confirm, notice has been provided in accordance with the Planning Act. First class mail notice was provided to all landowners within 60 meters of the subject lands, and a public notice sign was posted on the property. The purpose of this application is to recognize a minimum lot frontage that would be proposed as part of the draft approved plan of subdivision. The purpose of this minor variance application is vary the comprehensive zoning bylaw to permit reduced lot frontage to accommodate a single attached dwelling on lot 15 in the draft approved Butler Creek plan of condo. They're proposing a minimum lot frontage of 15.6 meters, 51 feet for a single attached dwelling on a corner lot, whereas a minimum lot frontage of 17.4 meters, 57 feet is required for a single attached dwelling on a corner lot. And just to provide some context on why this application is before us, is we had the draft plan of subdivision application. I believe it was back in July. And at that public meeting, some comments were received from the public to replace some of the single attached dwellings in the subdivisions with singles to front pier, drive, and nautical lane to serve as a natural extension of the existing subdivision. So staff had made that recommendation, and as a condition of the council approval, they'd have to go in for a minor variance just to recognize that the lot frontage was a little bit under than what's required.
Okay. And I guess nobody's speaking on behalf of the applicant. Nobody else here to speak for or against?
Chair. Unfortunately, I know how this happened. I was probably one of the objectors that wanted this to happen. I didn't know it was going to create a minor variance, but they had 2 public meetings, one with the residents, and they came once in front of council. And then when we looked at the plan, it was to finish the 2 streets, because on this one, if you look, if the driveway would have been on the other one, Forest Street, it would have been right on the curb and right as people were coming out to turn into the driveway. So it could have caused a safety hazard. But the other thing is to keep the continuous of Pier Drive and Nautical Drive so that the drive was beyond the street and leave Forest Street more of a continuous flow. So in requesting and asking for that change, I know Mr. Josh is looking at me, and basically created this minor variance, but it's something that it's It's still got the side yard skids and everything, but it gives the flow of the entire community. And all the residents basically stopped their opposition to it and everything after this minor change was done. So it was kind of listening to the open house and to coming in front of council. So it made sense that the developer did a compromise and it worked very well and a subdivision went totally through. So I know how this occurred. So I'm just giving you a little bit of history on it.
Yes.
It was, I was one of the movers. I wouldn't vote unless this was done.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, very good. And well, I guess is there any correspondence? No,
No, we haven't received any correspondence.
just one question. You said there was property was posted with this notice. I drove out there and I didn't see it. I'm not sure where.
It's on the Cedar Street side.
Okay,
If you look by the yellow fire hydrant, you'll see it there.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to
Yeah.
be removing after the meeting, but it is there beside the yellow hydrant.
okay. Further discussion, I guess the only option that would be a smaller house, and that probably would not be in line with the rest of the neighborhood. So,
I would just like to, I'd just like to thank our planning department, what they did and the negotiating they did with the builder to get this done and to get rid of a lot of opposition, which was good. And this project is something that's needed, especially with the condominiums and it doesn't add a whole bunch of cost to the town because the development takes care of all their own streets and takes care of all their own gardening and sidewalks and everything. We just have to supply them with water and sewage. So it makes a lot of sense. Thank you very much, Josh.
just a question that's not really related, but on the one map, it shows lines bordering Butler Creek. Is that wetlands or what is that border showing?
So I'm gonna try my best to hold it up. Is it? Oops, I just ripped it.
Yeah.
Is it this one
Yes,
or that one? This one.
that one.
This one. Okay, so yeah, so this block, block 27, it's an open space block that's actually being conveyed to the municipality of Brighton through the subdivision process. So those lines that you'll see is actually the 30-meter setback from the top of bank and wetland.
Okay.
So that development block that's within the natural heritage area will be conveyed to us as part of parkland dedication. And they're actually proposing to put a trail in, so you'll see a trail outline as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's just of interest to me because I live across from Butler Creek.
It will be very nice when it's complete, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Just a quick question. Is the draft approved now?
Yes, it is draft approved. Yeah.
So it would be a major setback to the builder then if we didn't approve this.
Yeah, it was approved on the understanding that they would be going in for minor variance as per the recommendations of council. And, the public wanted it, council wanted to see it, and staff thought it was a good idea as well, just to have a cohesive neighborhood.
Good, thank you. Brent?
Yeah, just sort of on the condominium block. How many units are going in there?
Well, let me zoom in here. Try my best. I want it to be the right number, that's why. 84 units. is the
84 in
latest
the
plan.
condo.
In the condo block.
Yeah.
Now, to be clear, we haven't received a site plan control application for that block. So that number very well could change, but that's what's proposed on the draft plan.
And they're all, it's row houses.
They're quadplexes. They're like 4.
Oh, a quad.
They're almost shaped
quadruplex?
like a star. Yeah. Yeah, there's a development in Coburg by the tracks they built. That's the same development kind.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, I think there's 2 units, like there's 4 in the building and there's the top floor and there's bottom floor and they have like a courtyard in the middle.
Yeah.
It's quite, it achieves density targets, but in a compatible way in the neighborhood. It's not overwhelming in terms of its mass or its height. It's a very gentle form of intensification. Yeah.
Thank you.
They have 2 in Coburg and 1 in Port Hope, right by the McDonald's. If you just go past the McDonald's and turn, you see school going there. I've gone in them, I've knocked on their doors, I wanted to see how they were doing, and there's no removal and that, and all this stuff. There was some concern about parking, but they don't seem to have concern about parking. And I've seen from fire chiefs to police officers to military to retired professionals and living in there. They took me all through. They're really nice. They're really nice and they fit. And we're talking with the developer this week on Monday. Matter of fact, 40% of 40 units are already spoken for.
In here.
Yeah, 50% of those units are already pre-sold, are already committed.
Now,
And another 10 are waiting for their financing to go through. But the price has gone. They were going to be $300,000 units. And now they're selling at $495,000. And right now, some of their units that they had sold in Portland or Coburg are selling for $595,000 to $600,000.
Yeah.
So
that throws out the affordability.
well, especially with this COVID and the price of building material, but when we were looking at this, they were going to be just under 300,000, 300,000 just under.
Yeah.
Now they're selling for 495.
Yeah.
So
Okay, any further discussion?
Just like to say, because
Nobody? Okay,
I would just like to add before we vote, just because it is a recording meeting of council, that staff have reviewed the application and is planning staff's opinion that the application is in accordance with section 45 subsection 1 of the Planning Act. The application meets the intent of the official plan, meets the intent of the zoning bylaw, is desirable and appropriate, and is minor in nature.
ready for motion? With the subject to the provisions noted in the planning report.
I second the motion.
Those in favor? Carried. Okay.
Thank you very much, Josh and Marianne.
Yeah, I think the very thorough reports, so, yeah. Yes, yeah, so the next meeting date is really when we get other applications, so we don't have any right now. Yeah, okay, yes. But it doesn't really matter, but the previous council representative was Mary Tagman, and she did an excellent job as well. Yeah. Yeah. My only complaint is the amount of traffic on Ontario Street.
That is one of the things that council do. Council, the planning department, one of the things that they were doing the motion. When Josh came with Mr. Wong decided to take it on, secondary planning, traffic, how our growth was going to be, because I was tired of looking at small lot additions, like if somebody would buy an acre and then subdivide it and put all the infrastructure and everything in with it, cul-de-sac and everything, and it just became a nightmare for everything. So this council, we got rid of the cul-de-sac, done all the roofing, and then when they look at subdivisions, they try to get rid of the cul-de-sac and try to get the traffic to flow. But this is going to be part of this traffic plan. The last one was done by the Road 2004. It was a small addition again in 2007. So I read both those reports, and then that's what the motion is. The Paul decided that he was going to have it done. I withdrew my motion, put the monkey on his side. And basically gave him over 179 or 108,000, and then awarded much traffic.
Yeah,
If you look at other people, let's say if you look at our gate, it was never supposed to be meant for kids. And now it's full of kids, and there's no park, no place for them to play right there. And I get the call when they're playing in the pond. Or management pond, I said, well, when I was a kid, I was headed to one. You don't want them in the street, you don't want them in there, and now they're playing in the pond, and you don't want them there. Skating, the bike skating, you know,
yes.
you know, it's just a look at it. I don't have a project. For some reason, that subdivision has a supposed to be gated and proceed. And it's just like they have down there, out of the yard, and the children have no place to go. And those are the things that we're gonna look at when we grow.
Yeah. You're not recording any of this, I hope. Okay. Yeah. Well, meeting's adjourned. Meeting's adjourned. Now we can have free discussion. Oh, we need a motion. Seconded. In favor? Carried. Does anybody